Hey everybody, this is Salvador from Anarchy Snowboarding, and it's November now, and we're stoked because we're going to be on the hill pretty soon. You've probably heard a lot about what's going on with COVID-related news throughout the country, but what I want to do in this video is really cover what you can expect for Michigan ski resorts when it comes to COVID precautions. Basically a super high level know before you go. Before I dive into this, just going to be a link in the description to our full 2020-2021 Anarchy Snowboarding Michigan Ski Resort Guide, where we're going to get into all of the updates for this coming season, whether it's capital improvements, terrain expansion, and again, these COVID related updates. But a lot of people may not care about the capital improvements, so we're going to use this video just to think about and talk about what's going on specific to COVID and what you as a snowboarder need to know before you go driving off to Boyne Highlands or Alpine Valley or wherever your driving is going to take you. So at a general high level, all resorts are going to have some of the basic restrictions in place, and you're going to expect that you're going to have spacing in lift lines. For the most part, the resorts have told me that they think that your equipment's going to do enough to spread you guys out, front to back 6 feet apart. But resorts are going to make extra precautions to laterally space people so that you have distancing between lines heading up to the lift. Some of the bigger resorts may have maze systems set up to really spread people out. Smaller resorts may not have to go to that extent. Also, with the lifts, expect that you're going to ride up the hill with the people that you came with. You're going to ski with your party. When possible, I think that most resorts are going to accommodate single riders when there's space. So they might have two singles go up with spacing in between them, or if you've got the Boyne Mountain 6-pack, maybe they get 3 people on that lift instead of filling it up with 6 if you got single riders. Also, indoor restrictions are going to be in play at all Michigan ski resorts. So at the time of the publishing right now, we're looking at 50% capacity restriction for indoor space, and that's a fluid situation that can change. That might be different tomorrow. But the way resorts are handling that right now is that a lot of them have built up outdoor seating. A lot of them have added fire pits or propane heaters. Some have even gone the extra step to create tent coverings and warming huts outside. But essentially expect to be eating outdoors instead of going inside this season. And on that note, a lot of resorts are being very upfront that they're expecting visitors to tailgate basically. So because of those indoor capacity restrictions, be prepared to have your lunch, to bring your lunch, be prepared to eat in the car, tailgate, bring your chairs, bring your tents, bring your setup, because you're gonna party in the car or in the parking lot with the people that you came with, not with everybody else. On that note, they're gonna expect you to boot up in the car too. So, gone are the days this season where you're going to be able to haul your gear to the resort, store it in a cubby, boot up in the lodge, then head out to the hill. It's not going to happen this year. In addition to those indoor restrictions, you're also going to have face covering requirements. All resorts in Michigan, they're going to be requiring you to wear masks in the lift line. If you're going to be in indoor spaces, you're going to have to wear face coverings. When you're riding, you're socially distanced out in the terrain, you don't have to wear face coverings. But if you are not able to give people 6 feet of space, you're going to be expected to be wearing face coverings. We're snowboarders. A lot of us are wearing balaclavas or whatever. Resorts have indicated that counts. They're not expecting you to wear, N95s or anything crazy. But they do expect face coverings this season, so be ready for that. Now I'm going to take a little dive into individual resorts and what you can expect. So, for example, in Southeast Michigan, I'll start there. Mount Brighton, they're a Vail resort, so they are going to adopt Vail's reservation system, which basically means you are going to have to plan ahead if you're going to go to Mount Brighton down in Southeast Michigan. You're not going to be able to just show up on the day you want to ride without any pre-planning. So visit their website, make sure you reserve your days. In addition to the reservation system, Mount Brighton's cashless this year, so they don't want your money. They want your plastic, your credit cards. So really, this is something probably that affects more parents that are dropping off the kids at Mount Brighton. You're going to have to prepare for that somehow because, again, cashless at Mount Brighton. Moving to northern Michigan, Boynton Highlands. We're going to go in order, in alphabetical order here. Boynton Highlands, they have not indicated that they plan to do restrictions of day ticket sales. However, they are asking that people buy their lift tickets in advance. And also they're promoting their Highlands Happiness Card, which is essentially a preloaded card that you can reload throughout the season. By using this card, it basically kind of functions as their season pass that's scannable at the lift lines. So by reloading your Highlands Happiness Card, you don't have to go to ticket windows, and so you minimize some of that contact. That's what they're looking for here. You are not going to be able to bring in outside food or drinks at Highlands. They've made it clear that indoor storage is not going to be allowed as well. They are being very clear: boot up in the car, come in. Another thing for parents to know at Boynton Highlands is that there's no kids care this year. So that's something that parents are going to have to plan around or get babysitters before you come to the hill. For those planning on those or banking on those all-day kids group lesson classes, yeah, those are gone this season, unfortunately. So Boynton Highlands indicated that their group lessons for kids are only half day this year, and it does not include a lunch. So parents are going to have to plan around that. Now, Boynton Mountain, on the other hand, they are going to have ticket limitations on peak days. They haven't said what those are, but pass holders are basically exempt from any limitations or day limits. So day ticket people, buy in advance at Boynton Mountain or buy a pass, but there are chances on peak weekends or holidays that you're going to be left on the outside looking in if you didn't plan ahead. Moving on with northern Michigan, Cabernet. So Cabernet is probably going to be one of the biggest cultural shifts. For those familiar with Cabernet, you know that the Blackmer Lodge, has the upstairs cafeteria area where they sell food, and downstairs is basically a family-friendly zone where people are bringing their own meals. There's crock pots heating up on the walls. Not this year. Cabernet said that Blackmer Lodge is no-go for bringing your own food. It is for dine-in guests only. However, Skyview Lodge, if you're familiar with that, that's kind of behind the rental area, the rental lodge area up on the hill above the bunny slope. That is where you will be allowed to store food that you've brought into yourself. Going down the list, Crystal Mountain. Crystal Mountain is another resort that's indicated they may limit day ticket sales. So this is one of those places where if it's a peak day and you didn't plan ahead at Crystal Mountain, you might not be able to get on the hill. So plan ahead. If you don't have a season pass, Crystal Mountain, that's a place that you need to reserve in advance if you think you're going to be there on a busy day. If it's not necessarily a busy weekend, if you're going midweek, you're probably fine just showing up, but know before you go. So Nub's Knob is similar to Cabernet, where they have a culture of really being community friendly and family friendly with outside food, and unfortunately that's not going to be the case this year either. So Nubs is saying right now, no outside food, no crock pots allowed. If you're used to changing the locker room, you're going to have to come up with different plans because the locker room is only available if you're actually renting a locker this season. So Nubs, Boynton Mountain, Boynton Highlands, all of these resorts, not even limited to these resorts, but all the resorts expect to boot up in the car. Expect that you're not going to be able to store your stuff unless you've already got a prearranged rental locker there. So moving into the Upper Peninsula, Mount Ripley, they have also indicated that their kids care is no longer going to be an all-day situation. Their kids programs are limited to half day this year. Mount Bohemia, a lot of change in Mount Bohemia this year. They're not even saying that day restrictions are possible. They're basically saying it's going to happen. If you don't have a season pass, number one, day ticket prices have gone up at Bohemia this year. So it's $85 this year for a day pass. And that includes a lunch this year. That's a new update. But you might not get on the hill if it's a high volume day. Bohemia is really encouraging people to go midweek when volume is low. to accommodate that extra traffic that they're expecting midweek. They're saying they're going to run both lifts like 7 days a week. Whenever they're open, they're going to run both lifts. So, that's one positive to this. Another thing to prepare for at Bohemia, you cannot go inside, not during the day. The indoor commons areas are off limits during the day unless you're using the bathroom. They did say that they're going to have extra portable bathrooms and water facilities available in the parking lot. But yeah, no going inside Bohemia this year. In addition to that, the hostel this year is closed, so they're not going to rent out the hostel lodging at Mount Bohemia. There is a common lodge though, and the common lodge they're now going to use to sleep groups of up to 10. Unfortunately, that means that common lodge that I know a lot of people have taken advantage of over the years, it's not going to be available for just skiers during the day. So that lodge is now for lodging only, and it's not available to warm up during the day. And the last item from Bohemia for COVID-related stuff is that pretty much all events that take place in the common areas at the base, they're canceled. They're canceled through January, so don't expect any frills, any parties at Bohemia. You're there for the riding, and that's it. So one of the places in the UP that is really taking this COVID precaution pretty far is Ski Brule. So Ski Brule is traditionally one of the resorts that makes it a point to be the first to open in the state, right? If this was a normal year, they're already blowing snow, and they're probably looking to open like this weekend, or they probably would have been open this weekend, knowing them the way they used to function. But that's not going to be the case this year. Why? They're not even blowing snow. Like they can't risk it. They said that the cost investment to blowing snow is too great, and the risk of closure is too high. So they are not going to blow snow at Ski Brule this year, which means you are not going to see a November opening, unfortunately, if that's normally your hill. Maybe things look better late December, but they can't announce an opening day because they're dependent purely on natural snow this year. They warned riders that the result of that is that not all runs are going to be open. So if you go to Ski Brule, it's possible that depending on the snowpack, you're only going to get blues or greens available. Maybe the steeper runs, they can't hold the snow, or maybe they have to harvest it. So be prepared for that. As for terrain parks, there are no terrain parks. Not for 2020, 2021. So it's going to be some adjustments for people in the UP, unfortunately. If there's events at Ski Brule, consider them canceled. There's no sledding, there's no tubing, there's no shuttle buses, no lessons. Like, Ski Brule has stripped this puppy down. You're going there to ride blues and greens, and if you're lucky on a POW day, something more. But they are definitely a no before you go situation. They also indicated that they're going to limit ticket sales. So if it's a busy weekend, it's probably not where you're going to want to go. Honorary ski resort is Searchmont in Ontario. As you know, the U.S.-Canadian border is closed. So even if, Searchmont got 5 feet of POW, we can't go. If you're an American, it's just not happening. And if you're a Canadian living in Michigan, you still have to quarantine for 14 days when you cross that border. So yeah, you're not going either. With that said, Searchmont also indicated that they're not going to blow snow. This is covered in our guide, our Michigan ski resort guide, even though this is Ontario. It's covered that they invested about $2.6 million in ski lifts this season, and they're tapped. They can't blow snow. The risk of closure, the lack of revenue from not having American visitors, they can't invest the extra money in snowmaking, unfortunately. So they're going to rely on natural snow. They're probably not going to open until January, and when they do, it's going to be all natural. And honestly, guys, we're probably not going to be able to go anyway, so I don't know that it matters. But Canada Bros, we're thinking about you. We wish we could ride with you. Well, that's the update for Michigan ski resorts for COVID-related precautions this year. For the full update, make sure to check the link below for our full guide on what's new in Michigan this year. The key phrase, know before you go. So check websites before you make the trip out. Also, if you're not following us on Facebook, follow Anarchy Snowboarding. Follow us on Instagram. Links below in the description. Thanks again, And if you have questions or specific comments, leave feedback. Leave a comment, and we'll have a conversation. Thanks a lot.